Mayor, let me just start with you, and it's great to have you here, in person in New York. All right, all these polls just coming out, the Wall Street Journal polls, specifically, though, on the enthusiasm numbers. And, there's a range here. MJ was talking about one at 76%. This poll, 81% say Harris voters say they're enthusiastic about her. It was 37% for Biden just a few weeks ago. I mean, that's a 44-point jump on enthusiasm. What's happening right now inside your party?
Well, I think that there's a level of energy, a level of excitement behind the vice president that's needed to make this a competitive race.
Hey, folks, Dale Jackson here for Yellowhammer Now. Let's have a conversation about whether or not it makes any sense to bring Steven Reed, the mayor of the city of Montgomery, on CNN to talk about the accomplishments of Kamala Harris without actually talking about the accomplishments of Kamala Harris, because no one's doing that. Instead, they bring him on in a panel of people who hate J.D. Vance and hate Donald Trump to talk about how much they hate J.D. Vance. Now, listen to the setup of this question. The question is about the child tax credit, which J.D. Vance is talking about having a lower tax rate for people who have more kids, which we already do, by the way. But he's talking about incentivizing people having kids, which is exactly the point of the child tax credit. And we're all pretending we don't understand this. And I love the response from Steven Reed here, the mayor of the city of Montgomery, who is there having this conversation, ignores it completely, and talks about how, hey, momentum is in favor of Kamala Harris. Because it is. Because of conversations like this. They're not talking about anything except, aren't those other guys terrible and isn't Kamala Harris wonderful?
And when you talk about voting rights and children, I mean, there was a report in ABC today, Mayor, that says that Vance had argued for a higher tax rate for people who don't have children. 2021, ancient history, reportedly he said, I'm going to quote, if you're making $100,000, $400,000 a year, and you have 3 kids, you have 3 kids, right?
I do.
3 kids, okay. You should pay a different, lower tax rate than if you're making the same amount of money and you don't have any kids. It's that simple. Now, Vance's team says this is basically a child tax credit that the Democrats say, and, it's semantics.
No, I disagree with that. I don't know where you come up with that type of logic, but then again, I'm not a supporter of J.D. Vance nor of his policies. I think this is why the vice president is in such a strong position right now. I think that she has a vision for the future. I think that people understand what she has done in her life in public service and what she has done as a vice president. I think that's why the Democratic Party has united around the vice president and really feels that jolt of adrenaline, if you will, that is carrying us right now and will carry us forward over these next 100 plus days.
Now, call me a crazy person, but I don't know if I would bring on Steven Reed to my campaign to have these conversations if I knew that the city that he oversees currently has a situation where a multi-level state agency task force is having to come in and do basic law enforcement because the city is having a crime problem. But ignore all of that. Let's look at what he's actually saying here. He starts to talk about Kamala Harris, and all he says is she has momentum on her side. That's it. Why does she have momentum on her side? Well, it's because the media is essentially Kamala Harrising Kamala Harris. They're jumping in, and they are saying we are going to offer up a full-throated defense of Kamala Harris for absolutely everything, attack her enemies, and do all we can to make her look like she is competent without actually having to talk about her and anything she's done. This entire segment was J.D. Vance attacked cat women and called for a child tax credit expansion. Now, if you were honest about what he was actually talking about, then you would probably see that he gained support for that. But that's not what they do. Instead, they act like it's mean to say such things. And why should childless people pay more in taxes? I don't know. Why do they pay more in taxes? Because they already do, but they don't want to talk about that. So now we're in the phase where they're just going to talk about the inevitability of Kamala Harris winning. That is all this was about, and that's all they're going to do. That's the message moving forward. And taking guys like Steven Reed and sticking him there, I guess, since he's the head of the Black Mayors Association or something, that gives more credit to Kamala Harris and fires up African Americans to support her. It is all about demographics for this race and demonization. That is it. Now, that's nothing new for Democrats, but here they go. Less than 100 days. Get ready. This is all we're going to see.